Welcome everybody. You want to see if we can use these steel pans, muffin pans, to melt some aluminum into them, maybe some copper, see what they turn out like? Let's give it a shot. Woo! I'm B, our dream, our purpose. Here just playing around, as you guys know, always trying some different things, having fun. I've done a lot of different pans in the past. Every time I get to see a new one, I find a new steel pan or something like that, or cast iron, I give it a melt and see how it turns out. These are some heart pans found on the internet. This is something my wife found for me. Looks like a little Eastery. It's got some eggs, it's got some bunnies, things like that. But we'll go ahead and melt some aluminum. I've got some aluminum cabling, cut that up. We'll show you that, and maybe if we get a chance, we'll do some copper as well. While I'm getting the aluminum warm, while we're starting that, I'll actually strip the copper and see if we can't do some, just to make a couple hearts. Not a lot, but we'll give it a shot. So let's get to tearing the aluminum apart. Again, this cable has aluminum outer shell, and it has one strand in the middle. I'll show you how I tear that apart, but we'll get enough so we can start doing some melts here. All right, let's get to it.
All I'm doing here is cutting the wire, cut it into manageable pieces. I will still cutting them long to where I will actually still fold it in half because I'm using a smaller crucible. But what I do is put this wire cutter, they're pretty big. I'll put the one side on the table itself and then feed it through and just pressure down on it. Cuts it pretty good. So we'll get a bunch of these cut up and then I'll show you how we tear them apart.
Alright, so cut a bunch of this up. If I need more and cut more, I have more. Again, I'm just trying to fill the tubes, so it's not like I'm trying to cut up everything and melt it all at one time. Just trying to see how the tubes are going to turn out. And basically, now I got these in pieces. I literally I'm squeezing the end. Reason being is trying to find that metal piece. Again, all these are aluminum. There's one metal piece inside. The aluminum will stack inside here. Metal piece, once we find it, pull that out, put it in there, and basically like that. So we'll just bored already? I'll tell you what. Just wanted to give you the concept of what I'm doing here. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but anytime you're separating any aluminum, any copper, anything, it's always going to take a little bit of time, but I'll go ahead and do these off camera. We'll be right back and all of this will be done. And then we can start setting up to melt and setting up the molds to pour. All right. Be right back. All right, made it that quick for you. Tore everything down. Again, really what I was doing is pulling the centers out here. This is all the aluminum part. As you can see, we should have a good amount. Now some of them are a little bit longer. And because they're so thin, as they melt, they'll actually droop over the side. So I have to be careful. And any longer ones, I'll actually want to fold in half. So make sure it fits down inside there. So fill this up. And then we'll get the crucible, the forge warmed. Majority of these look long. while this is melting or warming up, I can actually bend the rest of these, so whenever I go to put them in, it's a lot easier. And once it gets so warm, if I put the sticks in, I can actually push them down in there. They'll melt pretty good. So just getting that first little batch done, warmed up. These are thin, so it should actually melt pretty quick, but we'll go ahead, we'll get the forge set up.
So you're going to see something here you don't often see me do. I'll do it off camera or just don't do it, but it's colder right now. So what I do is I have a bucket of pan of water. I'm going to heat that up, and then you see me pouring it into just a little tub that I put the propane tank in. Without that, the propane tank, the pressure coming out freezes up, so this allows it to have a consistent pressure. So this is something that I learned off a different channel. Same thing, if you're doing it and your pressure goes down, you can't get your pressure to build up. It's because that tank is frozen, doesn't allow the pressure. So go from there. And what you also saw me doing is just really trying to keep feeding the aluminum into the crucible and getting that started back up with a few flames and go from there. What I'm doing here while the aluminum is melting, I'm actually stripping some of the copper wire. Just run it through a stripper, puts a crease in, cuts through one side of it, and then you just really pull it down and you separate the outer coating from the copper. I just wind it up, and I'll just like fold it in half when I throw it in the crucible. But we'll go ahead and do the rest of it while we're heating up the aluminum. You'll often see as I walk up to the forge, I always lean over top. What I'm doing is looking down inside. I've put aluminum in there, and I'm just looking to see if I can see if it's melted or not. If it's all completely melted, then I can go ahead. If not, then I'll just let it keep going. So this time it's melted, so I'm going to go in and take the crucible out and actually stir it, get the toppings off of the aluminum, and then we will make a pour. So here I'm doing the actual pours, and in the past I found myself overfilling every single time. I tried not to do it here. And then what you're going to see as I'm pouring them, you're going to see flames, you're going to see smoke. What it's doing, it's so hot, it actually burns the coating off the pans itself. The coating's great for cooking, but for doing the pours here, it actually just burns it off. And actually typically will leave a black coating on the pours. And the second go around after that's already burned off, it's actually a nice clean pour after that. The same thing as pouring this pan. This is a little deeper, so I am pouring these a little bit deeper, but it's doing the same thing. It's burning off the coating. But we'll go ahead and pour all of these and then go back to the little muffin pan and go from there. So one thing I learned, you'll see me tap the pan for a time or two while I'm doing here. In the past, I just poured into there and it kind of heap up. Tapping it kind of flattens the surface out. And then here, I'll leave the crucible out, fill it up sometimes, because just trying to fill it up inside the crucible or inside the forge is very hot. So if I can do it here, then I'll pick it up, put it back in the forge. So that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. So the aluminums come out of these pans really well. You can see all 6 of them with no effort whatsoever came out. So that's nice. Just going to pick them up here with the tongs and put it in some water so they can cool down. Sometimes you'll see me pick these up, what you're seeing here now with just the glove. And I've seen a lot of people do that. I do it. What I've learned with the gloves, though, is when you go to pick them up, it's warm, but after you let it go, the glove continues to get hotter and hotter. And so if you think it's right at the edge and you stop, it could continue to burn. So you got to be careful with that. Yep, this is me slow motioning the flames as I often do. Just something I enjoy. I do edit out some of the melt time, but the aluminum, the thin pieces I'm putting in here, melts pretty quick. So it really didn't have a lot of time in between. The forge is hot already, so just go ahead and pour them. And here I'm filling the pan first. I wanted to make sure I got a full one, and I could do just partial of the hearts. If I only had enough to do 5, I could do 5 or 6. In this case, I actually filled up every heart and then went back to the larger pan to fill it more, just to use everything I had up. So we'll finish this pour up of the aluminum. So what you're seeing here is the copper melting. I didn't show putting it in there, but I put it in a different crucible. and I've got that going. So I put it all in there. Missed that part of it, but here I'm pulling it out and getting ready to pour it into the hearts. Again, I didn't have a lot, just wanted to try it, so just had a little amount. I get really 2.5 hearts out of it. 2 and a mini heart, essentially is what it is. So, but just trying it, and let's see how it turns out.
All right, let that cool down. Again, cleaning everything up, and I'll show you how it finally turned out. All right, be right back.
I tried to get a glimpse of the copper cooling off here. The top one was red and went dark pretty quick. And then here I'm just trying to clean this up. It's just a wire wheel. A lot of these had you can see the blackness on it. It's from the pan itself. The second batch I actually didn't clean up because they came out pretty clean because we'd already burnt everything off. But they turned out pretty nice, I think. A lot more detail than I expected. So we'll finish these up and I'll show you the end product. And I will say here you can see real good close-up view of the porosity that showed up in the hearts itself. Again, could have been from me not cleaning it well enough. I thought I did, but it's possible I didn't. But all of them had it in there.
All right, everybody, it's the next day. I went the next day, actually cleaned these up, the aluminum up yesterday. Today I actually got the copper out and cleaned them up. Actually had a lot of porosity in the copper itself. Thought I cleaned it enough. Maybe that was the issue. Not real sure. I did not use borax on that, so we'll try that again next time. Got quite a few hearts out of the aluminum. Aluminum went great in the pans. Did have problems, it just got so hot it bonded to the pan itself. So the copper is very difficult to get out of the pans, but the aluminum went smooth. Did a bunch of hearts. This was really like an Easter pan, it looked like. You know, you got a bunny here, you got a duck, flower, butterfly, different things like that. So again, just trying to melt different things, use different pans, different types, just to see how they turn out. There's a little bit of detail on these here, which these, you can see these here were actually cleaned with a sander or grinder. The first time you pour, it actually burns the coating off and sticks to it, so these turn black if you saw that. That's what it is. These are fresh out of the pan the second time around, so I didn't even clean these up. These turned out really well. So again, you want to try something, keep trying it, keep doing it. Like I said, sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. The aluminum went really well. I actually had enough to where I actually made a bar out of it, out of a pan. And you can see after a while it actually warped. I'll get into more detail on a future video and explain heat and how it impacts the items you're pouring it in and things like that. But just want to keep watching. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you like it, and leave comments. Comments for me are really an opportunity for me to grow, and hopefully you liked it. And if you have any questions for me, please ask. If you have any comments, please let me know. All right, until next time, thank you very much. Our dream, our purpose.